Hi everyone, it's Daisy here. Welcome to today's Fountain Pens Explained video. We are talking all about cartridge and converter sizing today. I often have a customer walking up to me with like a pack of cartridges and maybe a new fountain pen that they've picked out in store, and they'll come up to me and ask me, do these cartridges work for this fountain pen? And that's something that comes up a lot in stores. So I thought I would make a video all about cartridge and converter sizing today. I have some different cartridges as well as some converters. So cartridges usually come in a pack like this, and you see some of the big fountain pen brands that we have. There's Sailor, there's Kaweco, Pilot, LAMY, and then here on the right side over here we have some different converters, and this is what converters look like, and we'll talk more about those later. Cartridges usually come in packs like this, and they are just little sealed vials of ink like that are completely sealed, and when it's time to use them, you push them into your fountain pen, and this little amount of ink is dispensed through the feed into the nib, and that is how you get ink into your fountain pen, and after some writing, this ink will be used up and you're meant to dispose of it and get a new one from your pack. So that's the whole idea of cartridges. Back to the question of cartridge and converter sizing. Cartridge and converter sizing really all comes down to the tip of the cartridge itself and the place where you're inserting it into the fountain pen. So I'm going to take a Kaweco fountain pen, a Kaweco Sport, and show you all what I mean by that. Cartridge converter and fountain pen compatibility really all comes down to a couple of things. So where you actually insert the cartridge into the fountain pen is through this little circle in the grip section. This part is called the grip section of the fountain pen. Inside your grip section, there is a little circle, and the shape of that circle, the diameter, the shape of it, the size of it, its dimensions, has to fit the tip of the converter. And it has to fit tightly so that the converter pops in and it's a snug fit and it doesn't kind of fall out, and that is what cartridge converter compatibility all comes down to. And it really depends on company to company. So some fountain pen companies have done like a proprietary cartridge converter size, and other companies have used the international standard, which means that any international standard cartridge will fit that fountain pen, which is really kind of nice if you think about it that way. So here at Yoseka, I've brought over some of our most popular brands of fountain pens, and I'll lay them out here. So we've already talked about the Kaweco. That's the LAMY Safari. This is a Pilot. This is another Pilot. This is a new brand, Esterbrook, and this is a Sailor, one of many colors of Sailors. This is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim, and this is a Platinum Preppy. We're not really talking about like the model of the fountain pen today as much as just the maker of the fountain pen, because the make of the fountain pen, the brand of the fountain pen, will determine which cartridges it accepts. So we have Kaweco, LAMY, Pilot, Esterbrook, Sailor, and Platinum. Sorry, put these two together. For LAMY, Pilot, Sailor, and Platinum, these brands will only take cartridges that are manufactured by the same companies. So these will only take proprietary cartridges and sizes. Just because of the size of that inside part of that grip section is a unique size that only fits their brands of cartridges. And what's interesting is that you have different models of fountain pens among the different brands, but they will all take the same cartridges for the most part. So for example, here we have a Pilot Metropolitan, which is a really good beginner fountain pen that Pilot makes, and it's about $20-something. And here we have a Custom 743, which is a Pilot gold nib fountain pen, which is in the hundreds of dollars. So anything that's from Pilot, though, whether it's a $20 pen or a $200-300 pen, will all take the same Pilot cartridges. So that's what's good about the proprietary within the same company. Same thing for LAMY. If you have a LAMY Safari or you have one of LAMY's more expensive models of fountain pens, if it's a cartridge converter fountain pen, it will take any LAMY cartridge, but it will only take a LAMY cartridge. Then we have Sailor. Sailor makes so many different fountain pens, but they have like 4 main models of fountain pens. They have their Pro Gear Slim, Pro Gear, 1911S, 1911L, and then obviously they also have like their less expensive models, their steel nib models, and then they have their really, really expensive models as well. But no matter what Sailor fountain pen you have, it will take Sailor cartridges. So in that way, it is really very straightforward. You don't have to think too much about that. Same goes for Platinum. So whether you're using the Platinum Preppy or if you're using a Platinum Gold Nib fountain pen, whichever Platinum fountain pen you have to stick with Platinum cartridges, but you can use any Platinum cartridge in your Platinum fountain pen. So that brings us to international standard fountain pens. So brands like Kaweco, brands like Esterbrook actually take international standard. What this means is that little circular section inside the grip section here of the Esterbrook, if I were to look at that and compare it to the inside section of the Kaweco here, they would be the same size. So I would be able to really swap cartridges, swap converters, because the shapes of these two circles on the insides of these grip sections, even though these pens look so different, are actually the same. Versus, let's say, if we look at a LAMY one. I don't know if you could see in full detail. These are kind of like really hard details to see, but that is essentially what it all comes down to when we were talking about cartridge and converter compatibility. So we were mainly looking at cartridges just now, but when you're talking about converters, it's really much of the same. So I have some different converters here, and converter sizing is really the same. It all comes down to the tip of the converter, this little circular bit here. So if you look at the different tips of these converters, you'll be able to see that they have like different circumferences, different diameters, and that is really what makes some proprietary and some of them just international standard. Another factor when you're really talking about converters, not so much cartridges, but when you're talking about converters, another thing that companies will do is really make the length of the converter different. So for example, there are some companies such as Kaweco which will make this really short pocket pen, such as the Kaweco Sport, and this pen has a really short barrel. So the converter that's compatible with this is this little baby converter. It's called the Mini Converter Sport. But since Kaweco does make longer fountain pens, more full-size fountain pens, they also manufacture this larger converter, which they call the standard converter, which you can see is like a lot longer and it will hold more ink because of its size. Now, they are both Kaweco, so they're both international standard, and they both have the same tip size here, which would allow them to fit in any other international standard fountain pen, but because of the difference in lengths, that will depend on the length of your Kaweco to see which one you want to fit it in, or which fountain pen you want to fit it in. So since these are international standard, these would both also fit into, for example, another international standard fountain pen, the Esterbrook's. if you have a Kaweco converter and you have another international standard fountain pen, such as an Esterbrook fountain pen, you can easily use the converter inside your Esterbrook fountain pen. So that's how international standard works, but that does not apply for the proprietary fountain pens such as LAMY, Sailor, Platinum, and Pilot, which you have to use their own cartridges and converters for those fountain pens. So hopefully that answers any questions that you may have about cartridge and converter sizing. It's all pretty simple. It really just comes down to that size of that little circle inside the grip section and then the actual length of the pen itself. But it varies from company to company, which is why usually when customers ask us in store, oh, does this pack of cartridges fit my fountain pen? It all comes back to what fountain pen you have. So if you have any other questions about cartridge and converter sizing, be sure to let us know in the comments, but I hope I was able to debug some of the mystery behind that and maybe save you purchasing an extra converter if you already have like an international standard converter or something. So thank you so much for watching this video, everybody, and we'll see you very soon in the next one. Thanks. Bye.